Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we look at the Castigator class Titan, which can also be dubbed the father of all Titans. It's an engine that's the basis for all the other Titans created by the Mechanicus. It's on a long-lost Forge world. It was run by an AI and needed no human components. It claimed its place as the first Titan ever built. The Mechanicus made the other Titans based on its design, but they fell short of the Castigator Titan. Those of the Mechanicus, for all their size and power, are crude copies by comparison. There's also on the planet an STC database, and that will be important later. The book has the Titan tell us the information. I contained much information that was lost and was used to create inferior copies, built too quickly and modified too heavily. When I was lost, copies were made of these inferior reflections in turn, so that the form of the Titan became crude and unworthy. I was the first Titan, and the god machines that strike your kind with awe are all pale shadows of me. And its purpose, as the STC Titan itself declared, is I am the Castigator class autonomous bipedal weapons platform created for life support and siege operations. What does this thing look like? We will quote Dark Adeptus directly. It's quite a long passage, so bear with me. A section of the ground had risen up, and a huge shape was emerging, something from beneath the ground being slowly raised upwards. Alaric saw twin triangular eyes of burning green and massive shoulders, tall exhaust spires like curving horns, and solid slabs of gleaming silvery armor. It was humanoid, but if it was a Titan, it was bigger than any of the others in the Titan works. It was on a different scale entirely. It was rising further out of the ground, wreathed in white smoke from a coolant system. The silvery armor looked wet and pearlescent, and one arm seemed to end in an enormous multi-barreled cannon, bigger than any Titan weapon Alaric had ever heard of. The other had a huge fist from which bluish sparks were pouring as a power field was activated around it. The eyes sent thin traces of luminous green scattering over the Titans around it as it scanned its surroundings, its head turning slowly to take in the Titan works. Already it was as tall as any of the other Titans, and it had only emerged up to its knees. The Titan walked slowly between the ranks of lesser Titans, the whole of the Forge world seeming to shake with its footsteps. Green flames burned from its eyes, dripping bolts of power onto the ground. The barrel of its gun cycled, and the fingers of its fist flexed, as if it were finally stretching its metallic muscles after long years interred. But the STC Titan dwarfed them all. It was fully twice the height of the Warhound, bigger even than the Imperator-class Titans that the Adeptus Mechanicus sometimes fielded. The Titan's form was more elegant than the brutal designs of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Its head rose above its shoulders instead of jutting from its chest, as most Titans did, and was protected by a high, curved collar of armor. The collar swept out to form shoulder guards. Its face was featureless, save for the eyes, but those were more than enough, burning with an intense green flame that licked up into the air above it. The plates covering its torso and limbs were strange, pearlescent grey-white, and they wept rivulets of moisture, giving the Titan a sickly, biological sheen. Instead of hydraulics and complicated joints, the Titan's moving parts were connected by dense bundles of black fibers that contracted and expanded like muscles. It moved with a stately grace, every motion calculated and efficient. It was as if every other Titan was a crude imitation of this one, replacing its alien-looking technology with crude mechanics. Alaric couldn't imagine any Forge world being capable of building such a thing. Even the most advanced Xenos species, like the Eldar or the creatures of the Tau Empire, couldn't have fashioned a war machine so obviously superior to Imperial technology. The machine itself spent time in the warp when the planet was pulled there. The AI allied itself with the Black Legion of Horus, and a demon possessed it, and thus the Titan became empowered by the warp, and the planet stayed in the immaterium for millennia, and the Titan lost its past memories. When the planet came back into the material plane, it was found by the Grey Knights. In the book Dark Adeptus, Alaric was able to get inside the Titan and get the Titan to see it was possessed by a demon. The demon within emerged when Alaric confronted the Titan, and it was slain by the Grey Knight. The Titan fell, and to stop the heretics taking possession of any more information from this Forge world, the STC database was also destroyed, and the Mechanicus take fragments of this data away for study and archive. Its badass weapons are what we will look at in this last section, including a super heavy cannon that fires demons of all things. We'll quote directly from Dark Adeptus to give you a taste of this. The muzzle flash edged the Titan works in burning orange. Shots slashed through the air above the carapace and shrieked a few meters away from Alaric. Not explosive shells or las blasts, but captive demons screaming in agony as they were flung burning through the air. Alaric could feel their screams against his soul, feel their pain as they exploded in bursts of warp-spawned flame. Shots thudded into the side of the Warhound and knocked the war machine sideways. And the Titan also has a power fist that gets through the hull of the Titans. The STC's Titan's fist grabbed the edge of the Warhound's carapace, the fingers sinking deep into the ceramite and boring through the plasma reactor housed inside the Warhound's upper torso. Deep cracks spread across the carapace, and the Grey Knight inside had to roll to the side to avoid being swallowed up. White-hot plasma bubbled up from inside, spitting upwards in burning plumes as the pressure was suddenly released. With the plasma reactor breaching, the Warhound's power levels would be dropping fast, the war engine's lifeblood pouring out of the ruptured reactor's housing. And with the death of the Warhound at the hands of the STC, that is where I will end today's video.